I'm Andrew Hall, and this is Dead Hand Radio. My guest for this episode is independent filmmaker and UFO experiencer Patricia Avant. And we'll be talking about UFO activity captured on video. Welcome to Dead Hand Radio, Patricia.
Well, thank you for having me.
Is there any way you could turn up your audio?
Let's see
Because
here.
just put the microphone a little bit closer to your mouth.
How's that?
If you can. Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yes,
Okay, great. So how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I am enjoying the summer finally.
What part of the country are you in?
I am Midwest, in Michigan.
Oh, okay. So is the weather does it stay cold pretty much until this time of year, or
It
does it warm up earlier?
it used to, with all whatever's going on, the global climate and all that. Our winters are shorter, summers are much hotter. Like it was hotter here than in Jamaica when my son went to Jamaica.
Oh, okay.
So I guess that's going to be the norm. They're telling us that that's going to be the norm.
Yeah, I think I read a headline about a heat wave that's hitting the
Yeah,
mid east and the northeastern part of the country right now.
yeah, yeah. It's been blazing. Where are
Hmm.
you?
Las Vegas, Nevada. Yeah, we get
Oh,
heat. We get heat for at least 6 months. We get pretty good,
uh,
pretty good
so
heat.
what I'm talking about is nothing to you, then, right? 80 and
Well,
90.
it's relative, so
Yeah,
I understand. Yeah,
yeah,
100-degree weather here is normal, and
yeah.
I mean it's still difficult to do anything out in that kind of heat, but you do acclimate to it somewhat.
You've
Yeah,
been there a long time, or
yeah.
you? Okay,
Since '96, moved out here in
okay.
'96. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's on my radar to move to Las Vegas. And then, of course, we had the pandemic and all of that stuff. And so I just kind of sitting still for a while.
All right, cool. Yeah, well, I recommend it. Although there is a huge influx of people right now, the growth rate here is incredible, and it has been that way for years. It slowed down throughout, 2020. Um, things, everything slowed down though, but it's picking back up already.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about your film,
Okay.
and we'll get into that in just a minute. But first, I'd like to just get a little bit of an idea of what got you into filmmaking.
Well, I'm actually not a filmmaker. After I videoed those objects, then they laid around on my computer for probably all of 2018. I just didn't know what to do with them. And then I just thought I might have some kind of a UFO art exhibit. And again, the pandemic set all that to sleep. And December of last year, I get this idea in my head to try to put it into a documentary. And so I did. I mean, I don't have any experience in that, but every time I say I'm not a filmmaker, people correct me.
Okay.
So that if I was not one, I guess I am leading that way. But I'm not a filmmaker. I just looked into uh, everything. Kind of fell in place. I was trying to figure out, well, where would I get music and where would I get this? And then I kind of stumbled on this site called, I think it's called Matico, I forget. And they have all this stock music and all this, and everything just fell together. So I went with it.
Okay, well that's good. Yeah, and I agree with anybody that has told you that you are a filmmaker, I would agree with that. You have a movie. In fact, it's a documentary, and part of the title. In fact, I'll read the whole title of it right now. So the title of your film is "Black People Do See UFOs," the first documentary by an African American.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I put all that in there as okay, maybe I should put that there. And it and it all worked out, you know. I should have probably my idea was also to get some people to interview some people and ask them a few questions, the kind of way you see on most documentaries, but that just didn't happen, and most people were not agreeable to that, so I just went with what I had.
Okay, well, let's talk about that process a little bit. So, first of all,
Mhm.
how did you come up with the name for your film? What's the point of calling it "Black People Do See UFOs"?
That's a hood joke,
Okay.
and you will hear from time to time even comedians say, and why don't black people see, they may not necessarily use that word, but UFOs, or why are we never abducted, and da 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 da. And you know, it just, I thought it was funny. I've actually only had a couple of people that were offended by that. I thought it was something directed at white people, and it really was not, you know. So, but yeah, it's a hood joke that we don't see them. But I'm learning over the last couple of uh, months and over the year, it's not that we don't see them; it's we don't talk about it.
I do want to get into that a little bit because there
Mhm.
was a question on a podcast episode of mine several weeks ago. Somebody asked about that. Um, People in the black community, the question was, why don't more black people see uh, UFOs? And the question may be an inappropriate way to ask the question, but I think it's a legitimate question. And c- have you done any research on this? Do you have any statistics about experiences or sightings within the black community?
I don't have any statistics as of yet. I've made up my mind that probably next week I'm going to get into a black business directory or whatever I can find. And I'm actually going to call, I've decided I'm going to call probably 3,000 African Americans and put that question to them. I really want to know. I've had a few people give me some input, and it is as I had kind of thought it was. It's a religious thing, it's a spiritual thing. If they see it, it's a spiritual event, and it's just not something that African Americans or Black people just go. They don't see it as they don't see it the same way white people see it at all.
You know what? I want to dig into that a little bit more. Okay,
Okay.
but before we do that, I want to say hello to Predator. He's from Romania. He's a regular participant in the chat.
Okay.
Often comes up with some pretty interesting questions, and I always encourage the people watching this to, because we are live right now.
Okay.
So we may get some questions in the chat room, and we'll go ahead and uh, include those questions and allow those people to participate in our
Okay.
conversation. So um, now you talked about that African Americans that do have sightings uh, either don't report it or they um, think that it's something else. Is that accurate? Is that what you were saying?
No, not thinking that it's something else. Just, um, I don't want to say it's not a big deal, but it's as a spiritual experience or event, it tends to be looked at as more of a private type of event. I mean, I was surprised by several people on LinkedIn because I'm kind of moving toward that way. And the response from a couple of African Americans, that I was brave for mentioning it, for doing this, and how proud they were. And I was, that kind of took me aback. I mean, I never thought of it as a brave thing or anything like that. I wanted to share it, and I was not even really prepared to have almost zero African Americans respond to the documentary. I mean, I knew we didn't, and it wasn't something we talked about. Even myself, even as it being a hood joke, I did not even know it was that. I don't even know if I should say taboo, but uh, and I guess maybe it is a bit of a taboo. I was kind of taken aback by people expressing that type of feeling, that it was a brave thing to do, just never crossed my mind. I mean, I was not scared to show it. I just actually, I think in my head, I really thought, I just did not think I was the only one seeing those at that time. Uh,
So okay, so the feedback that you got primarily
and
from African Americans was that they are seeing them, but most of them are, for whatever reason, one reason or another, they will not report those sightings, and so it seems like the statistics seem make it seem like there is very little uh, eyewitness accounts or sightings or experiences, whatever you want to call it,
mhm.
uh, amongst African Americans. Is that accurate?
It probably isn't, but I tell you, I will know next week after I do this survey on my own.
Okay.
I mean, I plan to get to some level of understanding with that, because like I say, right now it's just a one person here or there responding to it, and the general consensus for me is that you may have someone that say, I saw something, but I just didn't. It was I didn't tell anybody, or I didn't think much of it, but I did have seen this or that. So I'm going to find out next week. I'm going to find out because I want to know.
Yes.
I had originally in one of the interviews, I kind of speculated, and this is probably also true, that it does have something to do with religion, and maybe conflicting with uh, biblical teachings. And a lot of people, a lot of African Americans just do not get into that. Like Ezekiel, for instance, they don't really, you're not going to hear much about Ezekiel's experience being related to a spaceship in any type of way. That's
Okay.
just not something. That's not how that's presented, And so, and I'm not saying probably in more the New Age, if you have that, you might find it. But in the typical Black church, I just don't think. Um, it's just not something um, we're as a part of, or as involved in, as I think we should be.
Okay. So I keep asking the question because I want to be clear
Okay.
that I understand what you're saying. So is it that there are members of the African American community that are seeing UFOs but will not report that or talk about it? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
and I think when you use the word report, again, that's a major difference. I haven't reported it to anybody. It's something I
Okay,
saw in a video. Yeah,
you know what? The term report is
yeah,
in this instance is a
yeah,
general term. It doesn't
yeah.
mean go to the authorities or go to
Okay, yeah.
a specific organization. I mean, report it to the community. There's a
No,
community of people within the UFO experience or community,
yeah.
and
That,
we're all one. It doesn't matter what your background is. If you're an
mhm.
experiencer, you're a member of this community. of people that have had experiences with
Mm,
UFOs. And when I say report,
yeah,
I mean to share the experience with that community. So, which
no.
you have done with your video, but are we um, are we? Is it okay if I if I excuse me, getting a
It's
little
okay.
froggy? Let me get some water here. Okay. So, with that in mind, is it that the African Americans do not see UFOs as much as people of other colors or persuasions, or do they see them just as much, but they don't talk about it outside of their culture, or do they not talk about it even amongst their culture?
I think it's that we see them and it's not a big deal. It's not the same kind of experience. Um, like right now, I can guarantee you there are not a whole lot of African Americans that care about disclosure
Hmm.
or that care about redacted documents. That's just not uh, a big thing on our plate. You know.
Okay, so since you don't really have statistics,
Mhm.
you haven't done a big um, a big survey as
Mhm.
yet.
Mhm.
Let's talk about your own experiences and how you feel about the process. Is that a little bit more fair? Instead of you speaking
Oh,
out,
no.
as a spokesperson for the whole community, let's
Well, I
just
don't
talk about
feel
your
like I'm
experiences.
speaking as a spokesperson for them. What it is that I know enough about my community to know, I do know, whether they're reporting them or not, that it's not a big deal in the African American community. I do what my whole survey will be about is I just would like to know uh, if if they are seeing more than they talk about and why they're not talking about it. I want to know if it's the church, if if they just, again, like I say, if they all really, a lot of us do really feel like it's not a big deal. Because I'm like myself, I'm not disclosure is great if it happens. If it doesn't happen, it wouldn't make a difference to me. I know what I saw, I know what I videoed, and that's enough for me. And I think that's the difference. And I actually, within the at least within the UFO Twitter community, there's that divide as well. You have the half
Yes.
of the people that think it's spiritual, and you have the other half that think they're coming to kill us, or you know what I mean. So there's that divide as well. So I think without in the African American community, and I think I've said this before, uh, if they're not coming down here to help us, and we do see them, it's just no big deal.
Well, there are people who believe that they are here and they are helping us.
Yeah,
So there, like you said, there's a large number and a growing number of people who've
yeah,
had experiences that have turned out to be a positive experience and changed their life for the better.
yeah.
And you know, so full transparency, I have never seen a UFO myself, other than photos or videos that other people have taken. Um, the reason that I like to talk about this stuff is because it's just something that's very interesting to me. It is
Hmm.
a mystery, and I'm in just search of answers. So I want to talk to as many people that I can possibly talk to who've had these experiences,
Hmm.
and I want to get the perspective of those people as to how it affected them. Whether it was negative or positive. Some people I've talked with that have had really negative uh, and lifelong problems after that event.
Hmm.
So there it's you're correct in what you said, that there's a divide, or there are people from different um, perspectives within the UFO community. And it's frustrating for me because I don't really have, like, have you ever heard the term, I don't have a dog in this race?
Yeah.
I really don't, because I'm not, my life has not been disrupted by UFOs in any way. And if disclosure happens, or if it doesn't happen, my life is not going to be disrupted in any way. So, but I think by talking to people who have had experiences, that's my way of getting disclosure or of learning the truth about what's going on with these things.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Oh, of course. I guess I was also surprised by that. Excuse me, I had just assumed too much, which is not a good thing. And I really had assumed that more people, uh, more white people, had experienced or had seen UFOs or UAPs, and I was surprised by that as well. That there were, and all of this is coming to me new as a result of this documentary, because UFO Twitter has been really great, in terms of embracing me and uh, encouraging me and talking to me. I've had some really real, authentic, down to earth conversations uh, with the people and it makes a difference. But yeah, that you've never had an experience is I don't want to say strange, but it is interesting to me. You know, have you not looked, or you
Oh no, I look. I look every night.
do you?
Honestly. Yeah, now see, so for the first well, my interest in UFOs since I was a kid has always been looking at it from a sci-fi
Right.
viewpoint. Thinking that there's probably something that people are seeing, but they're probably misinterpreting what they're seeing, or some people are probably just crazy, or people, there may be some people that are making it up. But
True.
I was not really what you would call a believer,
Okay.
and because I had never seen anything, and I doubted that what people were saying was accurate or truthful until I read the book Hunt for the Skinwalker. I read that book about 5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, and that changed my entire perspective on UFOs, Bigfoot, and other cryptids, uh, ghosts, and uh, anything that you would consider a mystery.
Hmm.
In my mind, was open and on the table as possibly real. So that really changed my mind. And then when I started doing this podcast, which I just started it in 2020, when the pandemic started, I started looking into reason I originally started this podcast was because I've had a lifelong interest in nuclear weapons.
Okay.
So as I'm looking into researching nuclear weapons, I start to come across these UFO encounters over missile silos and over nuclear weapons storage facilities. And there was this strong correlation between UFOs and nuclear weapons. So that kind of took me down that rabbit hole. And as I started to pursue it more and more, I just started talking to more and more people that have had experiences with the UFO phenomenon. And as I'm talking to these people, there is no doubt in their mind that this stuff is real. And that um, determination in those people that I was talking to
Hmm.
has rubbed off on me. So I don't doubt it anymore. I think that these people are actually experiencing and seeing what they say that they're seeing and experiencing. I don't doubt them.
The, Now the Skinwalker, I I saw a, a short part. Briefly, could you? What is that about?
Oh, okay. So So Skinwalker Ranch is a place in Utah. Sorry,
Mhm.
northeastern part of Utah. It's it was originally a disputed area amongst the Ute tribe and the Navajo tribe, and when the U.S. military came in there, um, they helped this dispute get resolved, and I think it was the Navajo were kind of kicked out of that area, and they cursed that land. And so with this curse on that land, um, there the the Skinwalker legends started to take hold. Well, the Skinwalker was always a part of Native American culture, and they're basically witches that can shapeshift into animal form. But that's only part of the story. There's been uh, UFO sightings. There have been poltergeist activity in that area reported for going back centuries,
Okay.
and so it's a really deep, rich, weird location where all everything that you can imagine is has been reported. And when I say reporting, I'm using that as a general term, but um, there there are there have been UFO sightings, poltergeist activity. Uh,
Okay.
People have seen weird. You know what a cryptid is? A cryptozoological creature.
No.
That's a Bigfoot or a
Oh,
wolf
okay.
man or a dog man, or those are cryptids.
And so all
So
of that's on video. They have videos of this, or this is
no,
just
they
was
don't
that
have
somebody?
video. These are eyewitness accounts
Mhm.
that have shared their experiences about these things.
Okay.
There's a team right now that is 24/7 out there investigating that ranch, and they're making a documentary TV series about that investigation. So they have captured some weird things on camera,
Okay.
but it's not definitive, and none of the stuff that they've captured on camera for that TV series is anywhere near as mind blowing as stuff that you've captured.
Oh, oh wow.
So I just want to give a shout out to a couple more people in the chat room because we've had a couple more people jump in. Rodrigo's here. Nice to see you, Rodrigo. Scott Brown is here. He's been on the program a couple times in the past. He's a UFO researcher, investigator.
Mhm. Tell
Um,
tell them I said hi.
oh, do you know Scott?
No, I just meant everybody.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. You can say hi to them. They can hear everything you're saying.
Oh, okay. Because I can see it on here, but it said that it was a private chat or that only you could actually respond to
Oh,
them.
there's a if you click on the tab that says stream chat, you'll see all of their chats.
It's on stream chat. I see all of them.
Oh, okay. So
Okay, so that's
if
just
if you're seeing the chats, then you're in
that's
this.
good.
The
Yeah.
private chat would be between you and I if I wanted to send you
Okay.
something private.
All righty.
Um, Predator, I don't know his real name,
Mhm.
but he said that he's talked with many different people from different religions on this topic, and all of them have said uh, that it's demonic. Is that something that you've heard people talking about as well?
Um, I'm sure that that's at least part of it. I
Uh,
mean, I remember initially when I saw the orbs, and I remember telling my sister, and her response was kind of, "You better leave that alone. You don't know what that is. You don't know what that is." That was her experience. And then I think 4 months later, she saw them, but she was still afraid to look at them or to just, we just had a very brief conversation about it, but nothing really long lasting. So yeah, I'm absolutely sure that's at least a third of it.
Mm,
You
it's
know,
interesting. What is your own perspective on that? Do you think these things are demonic, or what do you think that they're here to help us, or do you have another idea?
God, I've jumped in and out of so many things. But I would like to say for sure, I guess maybe 2 months ago, uh, a Twitter connection sent me a link to regarding a fellow named Terrence. What is his last name?
Is it McKenna?
No, Terrence Caldwell, I think it is.
Oh, okay, I don't
I
know
think,
that.
and he's from years ago, 1950s.
Hmm.
He was seeing these things, and he was calling them sky creatures. He has many pictures, had many pictures, and of course he was being uh, boo-hooed. It's not real. It's not this. It's not that. So recently, another fellow picked up where he left off and looked into his pictures. And the thing I want to say is, this is 1958. Quite a few of the pictures he has look like the things that I have saw. And in fact, he has one, the only one that scared me was where that looks like a face. He has the exact duplicate, almost exact photo of this thing. Mine is clear, of course, because I have a better camera and it's now. And so I guess I'm saying that to say I, I, I don't know what they are. I don't think that they're all bad, but I don't think that they're all good either. I'm certain that there has to be some of them that don't have the best intentions. But again, I also have to say if they had any plans to do anything to us, I don't see why that couldn't have already happened. You
True,
know,
I
I
agree with
bet.
that.
I mean, even with since 2017 when I filmed them to now, and I mean they were out in the open completely. However, that happened. So, and if that was the intention, even the one that frightened me, I don't see what could have stopped them. I don't know what could have stopped them from hurting me, or if whatever it was if that was the intention. So I did not get any kind of bad vibe from the vast majority of them. Only that one.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know. I think it's number 16 or 17. And I
Is
don't
that
know.
okay? Do I have your permission to bring that up and
Oh,
share that?
sure. Yeah. By
Number
all
16.
means. It's the one that starts out looking like some kind of a ray gun or something. And then it ends up into another form that almost looks like it's ballet dancing. And then it just kept changing and kept changing. It ended up looking like a rock of some sort.
Hmm. I don't know if I get. Okay, there's number 15.
Let me see if I can. And I'm afraid to move out of here.
Okay, so I will go ahead and share my screen.
Okay.
And
See, I've got to learn how to do all this stuff you're doing and get my lighting right. So I won't.
okay, I'm not going to share the audio, but I am going to share the video. Here we
Oh,
go.
okay. Yes, that's the one.
Oh, that's the one. You're right.
Yeah.
It does look like a face. I see what you're saying there.
Well, no, not that. Keep going.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to hit play.
Yeah. I mean, this is one object doing all this changing. This was not two or three or four different objects.
I was watching as I was watching the video.
Hmm.
My jaw literally dropped. I was looking at it with my mouth open, um, because this is video. This is not a still image of something.
Look at the
And,
colors.
and the way that the images or the shapes change and morph, and the colors are pulsating and changing colors. And they do look organic. They don't look mechanical.
No.
They look like they may be creatures of some sort.
And I've someone that's been shared with me on numerous times too. That there might be plasma, consciousness, just so many different things. But see those little white things
The
on?
little hot
Mhm.
spots, the little
Yeah,
shiny areas. Yeah.
that's which I see first.
Hmm.
Just that's how, and eventually I began to realize that I thought that was twinkling, but the other day I should tell you, I'm just getting around to looking at these in depth myself
Hmm.
without my heart popping thumping around in my chest. So watch it change like this.
I do. Yeah, it's still amazing to me. I've watched this several times, and it's still amazing to me. While we're watching this, if that's okay, I'll just let this
Mhm.
stream, and
Okay.
hopefully I
Yeah,
could
I
pull up a
want to
different
show you
tab.
the face part, like right there is what this guy from 1958. He has a picture just like this.
Wow.
That right there. That
Okay.
scared the crap out of me.
There's a still. Yeah. So there's an eye. There's an eye, and this would be
And
the
if you
kind of
let it
menacing
keep
looking mouth.
going, there is actually something. I don't know if it's, I don't know what it is, because in the next one I slow it down and I brighten it up so you can see. Because when I was filming this, I thought it was gone when it got
Mm,
to this part.
okay, I could see that because oh shoot, that's it
Yeah, no,
ended
that's
right there.
okay. Yeah, that's okay. This is the same thing, but I
Oh, is it?
brightened it up so you could
Oh,
see it. Yeah,
okay.
and slowed it down because I wanted, and I know people don't really look at this as in depth as I'm starting to, but if you keep looking, something starts to come out of the would I don't, for lack of a better word, out of the eye socket.
This
If
right
you,
here,
the one to the other one
over here,
right here, see right there, you see that black thing starting to come out of there.
over here.
Yeah, that's going to keep coming all the way out. Whatever it is, I don't know if it's a, I don't know what the heck that is.
Okay. Yeah, this these videos just leave me speechless because they're so mind blowing. Now, let me um, get your take on a couple of things about this. Just we'll just let this stream, and as it's streaming, you and I can continue our conversation if that's okay.
Okay.
If you see something on there, um, I have my notes covering it. Just let me
Okay.
know, and I'll go look at it and stop the video. Um, so, where are these sightings occurring when when you're out? I mean, is it, do you have to go to a location, or do you
No,
see these right from your
this
front
this
porch, or
was this was right from my front porch, and then um, the later on, some of them were around the side of the house.
okay?
I mean, look at that.
And when you're when you have these sightings,
Mhm.
does it happen in like, are they, how often do you have these type of sightings?
Well, I haven't seen these guys, the vast majority of them, since 2017. But I've seen there's this little red thing that kind of hangs on the moon. I saw that once in 2017 and then again in 2019 from where I live now. I don't live in the same place. And also, um, just there's a kind of a, I don't know how to describe this thing. It's a kind of a round thing that has this kind of a pointed thing that protrudes out of it. I had saw that a few times since I moved here, but I was not, I did not set out to look for these. I wasn't looking for these. I got the camera to look at the moon. I got bored of looking at the moon and literally just thought, I wonder how close could I get to a star. And uh and this stuff showed up.
Okay, so you thought you were filming stars.
Originally, yeah. And what I think now, and again, because I'm not a scientist and I'm only trying to figure out myself recently why some of the things that twinkled actually looked like stars, and the other things did not twinkle. And I think that I may have figured out that the white points on here, that's what I see first. And when I zoom in on them, eventually whatever's behind that will start to show up. And then there are also uh, the ones that are actually twinkling. I guess those really are stars. But these other things kind of mimic stars. Like you see that little
Okay, can
thing.
let me ask a
I
couple questions
I'm
because
too
there's some
excited and I don't know why.
there's it's okay. It's fine. I just want to ask a couple questions
Mhm.
because uh, are you filming multiple objects in the same night, or
Mhm.
are these filmed in different nights on different
Different
nights?
nights. It's like if
So
you look at,
each one of
yeah,
these is filmed on a different night.
on a different. I've filmed every night for about almost a year once it started happening.
Hmm.
And some nights there wouldn't be anything, or some nights I would think there wouldn't be anything. And just through happenstance, I was trying to lighten up one time and saw something else there with it. So on a couple of them, I just filmed the dark and then would kind of brighten it up to see what's there. And a lot of times it would just be orbs,
Okay.
red or white orbs. But then occasionally, like I say, you see that little white thing there, and the next thing you know, when you zoom in, all the rest of that's behind there. Now I can't say with 100. Well, I know that's a separate, different one, but that's the one that was showing up behind the tree.
All right. So how do you know what part of the sky to point your camera?
I don't. I
Okay,
didn't.
so
I
you
just would look. I would go just like you say. You look every night. Every night now, because I had seen this one behind my house a couple of times. So now just about every night I've been looking for it, but it hasn't been showing up. The same thing with this. I had got so jeez. I got so intrigued and involved in it that it just took over. I mean, I would get up and even in the daytime, I would look for something because I began to realize that sometimes the red orbs will be in the sky in the daytime, but you just have to look for them. I guess I don't know why. I
so
see.
this was during the day, this one right here, right?
Yeah, it's around. I'd say somewhere around, because it wasn't always there, or if it was always there behind this big tree, I didn't see it. But I got up one morning around 4 o'clock and I see this huge light behind the tree, and I thought it was a street light or something because I had never seen it, but then I thought that it was too high up to be a street light, and so I just watched it, and eventually it moved to the top of the tree, and I have somewhere it's rolling across the top of or it appears to be rolling across the top of the branches, and it's another one that's very close, and was very
Okay.
close.
Let let's talk a little bit more about your process because it's so
I
incredible to me that
I don't have a process. You
uh,
know, you're talking to somebody who I don't even know what aperture means. You know, I asked my son saw some people on YouTube with cameras that were videoing. One of the it was a Nikon actually that was actually showing a zoom in of Saturn from somewhere, just a regular Nikon camera. And we couldn't afford that one, but he got me a Canon for my birthday and Christmas that December because he knew I liked and wanted to film the moon. So that's all I was doing. I got the camera to film the moon. I was not even looking for the red orbs that I saw. I saw them, I didn't film them, and I really didn't want to see them again because I
okay.
just didn't know what they were. So I don't have a process, but
Well,
I'm going,
but there's where we might disagree a little bit because
okay.
you have, and when I say the process,
Hmm.
I mean when you decide to go outside
Hmm.
and set up your camera and film these things. I have a
Hmm.
friend, in fact, Scott Brown is here right now. He does what he calls sky fishing, where he'll
Hmm.
go and set up his video equipment, his camera, and he'll sit there and take pictures and videos for hours and just and then go through the footage later to see if he captured anything.
Well, that's kind of
That
me. I guess that is a process then, huh?
that is a it is a process. Anything you do repeatedly is
Okay.
considered a process. So when again, I may be using terminology that's foreign to you or makes you feel uncomfortable. That's not. I'm not trying to make you feel
Oh, it's
uncomfortable.
not making me
Just trying to
uncomfortable.
understand.
Yeah, no, I
So
know it's not that at all. I
when
guess, go ahead.
when you go out to set up your camera,
Mhm.
is there anything that compels you to do that?
No, other than that year, yeah, that year, 2017, after seeing the first one, and then the second one, and then the third one, I was compelled by that, and that they kept showing up, and that they kept showing up, and that they were all different and that they were not hiding. That motivated me, and it motivated me right up until we had to move, and I was really depressed for a while because I could not see, um, I can't see the same, I can't see the sky very well from here except from the back of my house.
Hmm.
You know, from there I could see it. We were upstairs, my front porch, all the way around the side, the back, porch. You know, the sky was just available for me there. I mean, I live in an area for whatever reason. The moon at certain porches, certain times of the night, whenever the moon is there, the full moon, it's almost like it's on my porch. It's so close.
When you're out filming these objects,
Hmm.
do you ever have other eyewitnesses with you?
Just my son,
Okay. And
and for the longest, when I would start to really look at them again, I really needed him to say that he was seeing what I was seeing
mhm.
because I just needed to make sure I wasn't seeing things myself. It's because there were so many and they were so different. And but yeah, a lot of times he would go to bed and say good night, and I had one of the videos saying good morning because he's going out the door to work.
Have you had the footage examined by? Well, I know you sent it to NASA, but have you sent it to anybody else to have it examined and see if this type of
That's
footage
my
can be
favorite
captured?
one right there. Go ahead.
See
I'm
if
sorry.
the footage can be reproduced using and I don't know is have you had anybody look at this to try to reproduce it in a way that would explain how you're capturing these other than these things being UFOs?
No, who would I send it to? I mean, the first person I sent it to at NASA, he was excited about it,
You
but
know
he said
what?
he
There
was
there
not.
is a group. There is a group called the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies,
Mhm,
and they're a group of scientists who have looked at a number of cases.
mhm,
Uh, they use the scientific method to try to, and anytime somebody is looking at something like this,
mhm,
their first reaction is to try to disprove that it's anything other than a natural occurring phenomenon.
mhm.
So it's not about attacking the filmmaker or the eyewitness. It's about trying to find out what this actually is. And
Mhm.
once they've exhausted every possible method of trying to recreate this, then and they can rule all that stuff out, then they start to look at the phenomenon, and how could it be.
What
So
does that look like to you right there?
uh, I- it looks, I don't know. I'm not I'm a photographer, but I've
Mhm,
never seen anything like this on my camera.
mhm.
So I've never seen anything like this in the sky anywhere either.
Well, that's why I would say to you with regard to sending it to someone, I don't think there's anywhere way on God's green earth that I saw that and some other Hubble or something else did not see it. So I don't believe that for 1 second. Whatever reason they showed up, popped out, I have no idea about that. That is something a scientist would have to say, or tell you why they showed up through that year. And obviously there was something that happened in 2017 where would make the government all of a sudden start to what is it, they popped out that 90-year-old tic tac thing all of
That's
a sudden
no,
all of a sudden
it was from 2004. The Tic Tac was from
it's,
2004.
it might as well be 100 years old.
Uh,
If they had it in 2004 and all of a sudden in 2017, the same year I see all this crap, they popped that out. Not saying it had anything to do with what I put up, because I didn't put mine up until 2020,
well,
right?
they
So
were also showing footage from other incidents that took place on the East Coast
mhm.
that occurred, I think, in 2012 or 2017.
Now, my point is, even though you don't know, and maybe Scott doesn't know or believe it, and I know he's a debunker and,
No,
and
no, no.
wants to see what it what it is all about. We may not know, but
See,
there's no way
what
in heaven that I you could tell me that the government has not seen this stuff that I've saw, especially the last one that we just saw. That thing changed from a rock to something that looks exactly like a ship. And there's three or four of them that look like ships. And then there's the other thing, the green thing that shoots out of nowhere. I don't know what the hell that is. Excuse my cursing, but I know there's no way on this planet that I'm the only person that saw that. They may not be telling us that they know what this stuff is, but there's no way in the world that me, a 68-year-old African American woman who decides to point the camera at the sky, sees all of this crap. And I'm sorry I'm calling it crap because I don't feel that way. And nobody else has seen it. I don't believe that. There's a thing at the end of this video that looks like a damn bird. I watched that thing change from a silhouette and it started to go away and I thought I was losing it. So I started clicking the camera real fast trying to catch it. And I had this habit of not looking in the frame when I'm doing that. I did not see those other three stages of that thing until 2 years later, when, like you say, you take a lot of pictures and sometimes videos, and maybe you're taking so many you don't look at them until all together until later. And that happened with me. There's just no way. There's no way you can tell me that they don't know what this stuff is. So, I mean, I don't think I have to send it to them because I think they've already looked at it.
Okay, I
That's just
can't.
how I feel about that.
I'm not. I just. I'm not trying to debunk anything,
No,
and
no, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying that you're a debunker. I'm
you.
saying that there are people that have looked at this and have said all kind of crazy crap. It's flying seat cushions, it's a bag, all of them are bags. Just really ridiculous stuff, you know. And so but I think I if it's the same Scott Brown over in the chat that I think it is, I think I've had some he's tried to get me to uh do say something that's just not true for me. It's not true for me,
Okay.
you know, and
Okay.
so
So
that's what I meant.
let's just back off that line of conversation because
Okay.
it's not really going anywhere. I'm not asking you to prove that you shot this footage. I absolutely believe you shot this
Oh,
footage.
I, I,
No,
I
nobody
I'm
is
not
disputing that.
saying that. I'm not saying that either. So
Okay, but
let's not cross
I
those
feel like you're
wires.
getting defensive and
Oh no,
you're trying to defend this.
no,
What I
no.
was simply asking
Well,
is
hold
that
on. I need you to understand something, first of all, okay? So that we don't get our wires crossed. We come from different backgrounds, so my enthusiasm may appear to you one way when it's absolutely not that way. So I'm not defensive, number one, and I don't mean to sound brash or rude. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about the video because I know I filmed it. So I never get defensive about that, So just so you know that. So I'm not defensive. I'm not calling you a debunker. Um, all I'm telling you is that I personally believe that if I saw these things in 2017, so did the government. Why I saw them, I don't know.
so.
So, but
I don't know where to go next because every time
I'm
I
not
try to say something,
defensive.
you cut me off.
I'm not
I,
defensive.
I,
I'm enthusiastic. That's all.
okay, great,
So
great.
don't think that.
But if I could get a couple of words in
Okay.
and we can have a conversation, I think this would be a lot more enjoyable for both of us and anybody listening.
Oh, well, you really don't know me, but go ahead.
Okay. I'm just saying I would like to get a few words in too and have a conversation where
Okay.
we're both speaking and understanding what the other person is saying. So
Okay.
I've given you plenty of opportunity to explain your perspective, and that's
Mhm.
exactly what I'm here to do. But I just want to move away from that line of discussion because it doesn't really seem like we're getting anywhere. I get where you're coming from. That's all. So, um, well, I'm trying to figure out a way to ask this question without you getting. Um,
I'm trying to
uh,
tell you that I'm not getting anywhere. I'm trying to get
okay,
you to
okay,
understand me.
then
Ask
then
me anything you want, and if I get loud or expressive, that's just me.
okay. So a lot of people who report seeing these things
Hmm.
have had some, and when I say report, okay, we understand the word report is not taking this to the authorities. We're talking
Hmm.
about you brought this to the public. So
Okay.
people who go public with their eyewitness accounts
Hmm.
sometimes experience other types of anomalies along with it. Have you had any other experiences besides seeing these things and filming them? Have you had any type of other experiences that coincide with these sightings?
I don't know what you mean, like
So
feeling.
some people have experienced uh, telepathic communication, like these things have given them messages. And I mean,
No, but I haven't had anything like that.
have you had any kind of, or some people have experienced like poltergeist activity, or they feel like their lives have been kind of upended because now they're starting to have uh, other weird phenomenon happening around their their house, or you know just is there anything else that's happening in your life that is unusual in relation to these sightings that you're having?
No, no. The only thing is that I myself personally, I wish I could. I wish I knew exactly what they are.
Hmm.
That's the only thing for me.
I think we all do. I
Yeah.
you know and that's why I've asked if you've had anybody from the scientific community look at it and kind of try to come up with an explanation other than aliens, or you know what it- do you think they're aliens, or do you think they're something else?
I don't like the term aliens. Do
Right,
I
I
think that
agree with
they're
that. I
uh,
agree. It's
do I think that they're alive and entities? Yes. Do I think that some of them are ships? Yes. And do I think that some of them are very spiritual? Yes. Have I felt moved by them every time I look at them? I'm moved. Some of them.
can you move a little closer to your microphone?
Oh, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yeah, but I've not had anything, at least not that I'm aware of, I guess, any physical change or nothing has come into the house. I've not had any negative thoughts. I've not had any bad experiences,
Hmm.
but but I have had, I guess in 2012 or 13, prior to any of this, um, filming my grandson in the house. He was playing like he was the wrestlers, and he was running from one room to the other. And I'm looking in not this camera, this was actually a phone camera, looking into the screen, trying to move with him. And suddenly, this huge layer of light just starts coming in behind him and just literally moving across. It was almost like it was playing with him. And if it had not taken off and went back into the living room and came back around again, I think I would have thought it was a shadow of off the car or something. And I just waited for my grandson when he looked at the video. I wanted to hear what he said, and he asked me what was that like,
Hmm.
and I just told him I thought it was energy.
Hmm.
So um, that happened in 2013. Then 2016, I step out on my porch, and these orange things are hanging in the sky. Like, how are you? You know. And then 2017, this happened. So I don't know. You tell me.
No, I don't know. I don't know. You have more experience with this stuff than I do, and I'm trying to figure it out too. So,
Mm,
you know, I I know it's probably impossible to answer the question what these things are.
mm.
Um,
I don't
another
think I
thing,
want to know
another
a
thing,
scientific answer. I really don't. I don't
another
think I.
thing that people have experienced when
Mm,
they come in contact, or they see these things,
mm.
is a period of missing time. Have you ever had anything like that?
Uh, they're like the thing at the end. It's three, maybe I don't know, maybe five or six stills at the end. Um, and I don't know if that means there was missing time. I'm not really sure what this means, but some of the videos, when I look at them, even if I hadn't seen them in 3 or 4 months, or even I can kind of go, oh yeah, I kind of remember that. I saw that one, but there are several stills, and there are several videos that I just don't remember doing them.
Hmm.
There's one that's not in here, and it's a very, very intense flickering. A lot of them have a kind of a slow moving change of light or the flicker, but this one is you can't really look at it a long time. So I don't know if, in some cases, when I stumble upon one or two, because I don't have many of them that have that kind of intense lighting, where the flickering was just so fast and furious, that it was like a looking at a strobe light or something. And when I went through my videos and I saw that one and I pulled it up, I just had no recollection of that one. I just really did not remember seeing that. Um, so I don't know if that means that, or if sometimes you just I should not have been looking um, that directly at some of them. I don't know, but I don't. By missing time, did I feel like somebody took me somewhere and all of that? No.
So there's a phenomenon that people experience when they're driving. It's called road
Mhm.
hypnosis. It's where you'll
Yeah.
be driving on the road and
Yeah.
you're pulling into you're 15 minutes from home, and then the next thing you know you're pulling into your driveway because you
Mhm.
just didn't weren't paying attention to driving, and your brain goes into autopilot or something like that.
Yeah.
um, that's also something that happens to people, but
I've had that.
okay.
And I could absolutely feel or think that one or two of them, and it may be the case that uh, like they said, there was some points where I'm doing the filming and I'm doing the looking, and I feel like it's just me doing the filming and looking, and towards the end, one or two of them uh, felt very distinctly like they were watching me.
Hmm.
There was, and that was again, that was not with most of them, but there was this one night where, like I said, I would see one or two here, one there, this one there. I stay up all night looking for them, and then one night I look out the window, out the side of the house, and I generally didn't do anything out the side of the house, and there were like 10 or 11 of them,
Hmm.
and the bigger one, when I started filming that one actually felt and unnerved me that it was looking back.
Hmm.
And then I had, and I've been trying to find this one. I had was on the porch, and I could see these two lights far off. They were red and white, and but just as I was getting ready to sit down and film, the mosquitoes got in the way, and so I go in the house to get the mosquito spray, and I put the camera in the chair, and it's still running, and get the spray, come back and spray, blah blah blah, and I sit back down and I start to I look around. I don't even know if I saw anything that night, but when I looked at that film later on, the red and white thing seemed so close as I had my back to the banister that the red one, the banister blocked the red one. And these are the orb things, which apparently they're not. They can be small or they can be larger. Apparently, and they may be able to go down in size. And the white one is clicking away like a camera. The red one was
So
just
these
solid.
were these very close to you, or were they at a
If they
distance?
were, it appears in the shot that they had moved in closer to me when I turned around
Hmm.
to spray do the spray the area. I was just spraying the area for mosquitoes and bugs, and and I guess, but if they were that close, they didn't make a sound. But then the red orbs that were hanging out there on 2016, not a sound. There was not a sound with them either.
Hmm.
So
So,
I'm sorry I cursed. Does that make you? I get that way sometimes, but it's not personal.
okay, no, I
Okay.
forgive you. I forgive you.
I'm
I
sorry about
wasn't mad.
that.
I just wanted
Okay.
us to get back
Okay.
to having
No.
a back and forth, a discord, a
Okay. Sorry
conversation.
about that.
That's okay.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I can't explain how these things are showing up and you're capturing them on film. I think it's fascinating that it happened to you,
Hmm.
and it's kind of a bummer that it's not really happening anymore. Um, but you do have more footage of this, right? And you're coming out with a new uh, episode or a new part two of this.
I was going to do another documentary, but I had just been throwing them up on Twitter
Oh, okay.
as I saw them, as I go through them. This one here, this was a night that I couldn't see anything. There was nothing there, nothing, nothing. It was so windy that night. And then I look up and I see that little white ball there. And I did think this was a bag because of the way it blew apart,
Hmm.
but then it eventually starts, if you watch it, it changes shape to against the wind. It's what I think. It starts to change aerodynamically. If you watch it, it's going to go into a completely different shape. And I thought that it was changing it to, is that right? Aerodynamically, would that be right?
Aerodynamic would make it like non-resistant to wind, so the
Yeah.
wind would flow over it smoother.
So the wind, eventually, this one right here changes, and you can see it yourself. It's going to change to a kind of a round shape from what it was.
So these things are these things static in the air? Are they like fixed in one location, or are they moving and you're tracking them?
No, they're moving.
So you're actually tracking them with your camera as they're moving?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
they are moving.
Got
I can't think of any single one of them that. Well, maybe the one in the end because it was kind of in some kind of a mid morph, I guess. It was really the one in the very end, the one that I said that looks like a bird. I've never put the video of that up, but the video part that I have. So look at the different shapes it's taken there. It seemed to be standing still. It did not seem to move, but it I lost that one. I mean, it was one of those ones that was really hard to um, keep in the view. It wasn't moving. Do you
it.
see what I'm saying? The shape that it took.
Yeah, yeah. These are weird. I want to. Are you familiar with
Something burning.
the the process of remote viewing?
I've heard about that. Yeah, I tend to, uh, l- you know, let the things come. I'm not. In other words, I probably would not step out and intentionally try to do remote viewing. If it occurred some kind of way, I don't know if it even
Well,
can.
what I was going to ask is,
Mhm,
would you, so a but there are people who can do remote viewing,
mhm,
and they're very good at it. Their accuracy rate is really high. They catalog all of their sessions, and they keep
mhm.
track of their hits and their misses. And there's people that are really good at it. Have you ever thought about talking to somebody who does remote viewing to have them take a look at this? Now you would have to. There's a there's a way that you can do it without um, giving the remote viewer too much information,
Mhm.
and then they can remote view some of these some of these objects, and maybe, I mean, there's no way to prove if they're right or wrong, but it
Mhm.
could open up to some possible insight to what they are, what their intention is, if there is any intention. where they came from, that kind of stuff.
I hope you don't get offended by what I'm about to say, but you, I can see why you haven't had an experience. And I think just personally, you know, I just, you can, I think you can go out on so many branches, so many limbs, and this happened. I let it happen. And when it stops happening, then I'll wait for whatever happens next. There's a lot of things at this point, I will say that I don't believe in. And I will also say that I was not a big UFO believer either, but I don't feel like these are UFOs or aliens in that true sense. I don't know what they are, but I don't feel like that. I feel like it's just an experience that I had. I was able to see or have, and for the most part, I'm really at this point. I'm ready to be done with it,
So,
because I
are
feel
you
like
at all curious where these things may have come from? Are they are they
no,
from this Earth? Are they from some other universe, some other dimension?
well,
That's not a question that you have at all.
not not one that's keeps me up at night.
It doesn't
When
keep
I
me up. I mean,
what I'm just saying,
it's
it
not
doesn't.
something
It's
I'm obsessed over. I would just
yeah.
be curious to find out.
Well, I just think there are just some things we are not going to have the answers to at this level. I really do. I
Well,
think
if we refuse to ask the questions, then we're absolutely not going to have. But here's the idea of
hmm
asking those questions, because along the way, from not knowing to potentially getting an answer, asking
hmm
those questions along the way is going to answer other questions that we haven't even thought of yet.
I guess again, that's probably the difference in uh, the background. Like I say, I don't think that. I think it was Lou Elizondo. He was on an interview, and he said that one of his uh, somebody, I guess, that was higher ranking than him that he reported to, when he was mentioning this and that they needed to look into it, that they told him that they knew what they were and that they were demonic and that he should leave them alone. Did you ever hear him say that?
Yeah, I've heard him say
No.
that.
So here's somebody, I don't recall I forgot who he said he was talking to,
He
but
didn't say he didn't
yeah,
say who
he
that
didn't say,
was. No.
but here's somebody telling him, we know what they are.
But would you accept that as
Yes.
you would
Yeah.
accept that if somebody
hmm
told you that?
I already feel like I don't think they're demonic, but I absolutely feel that they are of some spiritual nature, you know, and perhaps one or some of them can are. And I hate the word demonic. I don't, because I don't, I know that goes into, and I remember Lou was saying that this person was too heavily influenced by his religious
Hmm.
beliefs.
Hmm.
But that's not the case with me. I'm not heavily influenced by any religious belief. I'm influenced by having an out of body experience, having another kind of experience that's going on with some kind of light in my eyes. I've had those kind of experiences that make me feel like this is another aspect of that. And of course,
That's what I was asking earlier. If you've had
okay,
any other experiences, so was the out of body experience not in relation to these things?
no, not at all. It was years ago.
Oh, okay.
And it was, again, it was one of the things that I did not cause. I did not have it intentionally. It happened, but it was enough to make me know without a doubt that the spirit, the soul moves on. and the flesh is just one of those things. That's how I personally feel, and I know that's probably not a popular, um, because I believe in reincarnation. I just I think this is, if I have any idea. I mean, I think there are a lot of things, and then I just don't know what they are. I think about them all the time, or I look at them and wonder specifically, like, what is that? Why did that show up like that? Why did it change shapes like that? And I've seen this one several times, with that light in the front and that type of thing. And I just feel like, as far as I'm concerned, you know, if there's something else for me to know about these, I just feel like it'll come to me. I don't
Hmm.
I don't need a
Okay.
scientist to tell me, or to scientifically erase. You know what I mean? To just word it on out of existence.
So just for just for the record, I don't think
Hmm.
scientists have all the answers.
Okay.
I do not believe that. But
Okay.
to get to to exclude somebody's perspective from something because it's doesn't go along with your own ideas or your own understandings, I think that's limiting the the opportunity for you to expand your understanding of the universe, of our existence. I mean, that's I don't know how to otherwise explain it, but I mean the pursuit of knowledge is what allows us to understand things that we never even thought we would um, look into.
And I would probably just differ, because I feel it. I'm exactly doing that. I'm just not doing it the way you would do it. You know what I mean? You may be more comfortable with analytical,
Oh,
A B C.
because dismiss
Mhm.
I can always dismiss that, but to completely disregard and not look at somebody else's perspective just because it doesn't go along with what
Well,
my understanding is, that's limiting my own ability to expand my mind. So I'm,
well,
I'm
that's
willing to
that's
listen to what other people have to say, whether I accept that as truth or not. That's up to my decision at that point.
well, and who says that's not what I'm doing? I'm just doing it in a way that's different from the way you might see it. So it's not. I'm not saying for 1 minute that there's no scientists, because what is it? That I would listen to, that I believe, but I I'm not prone to listen to the scientists that think the world started with the Big Bang. So you can scratch half of those people off. But then if you got the other side of the scientists, that there are some scientists that are very spiritual, that can mix the two, that understand, at least from my perspective, science is just another word for magic. So it's not that I am closed off to those people, but sure, at some point, or to build your own foundation from which to grow from that, you have to toss things off. Otherwise, I mean, right now you go on UFO Twitter, and I'm not putting anybody down, but they're talking about unicorns and fairies, and I mean, all over the place. And the vast majority of those people have not had an experience, as it turns out,
Hmm.
which was something I didn't know. So all I'm saying is that I feel, and God, it's really interesting. I kind of had this conversation earlier on Twitter today with somebody I really, really, really respected and still respect. But we disagreed on something, and he unfollowed me.
Oh yeah,
um,
that's
and I
I
was
could I it's good to disagree with people, and there's no reason that everybody has to agree on everything,
exactly.
because we all have our own experiences, we have our own perspectives based on those experiences. 100% agree with that. And if there's a point of contention where you just can't see eye to eye, move on and talk about something different. There's other things that are way more important than to get stuck on an area that you disagree on.
And I think having different experiences, and I'm almost 70 also. Okay. So having these different experiences and my life coming to a close, for me at this point, everything I look at is going to be from a spiritual perspective, because I'm very interested in the next step, whatever it is, because I think I've read enough and I've seen enough and I feel like I understand enough that I'm ready for the next experience.
Cool.
So I
That
don't
that
I
that's
don't
actually a very good, very positive message. And was there were you done talking? Were you
no,
done?
go ahead. Go ahead.
No. So I was going to change the subject, but I wanted to give you a chance to finish what you were saying on that point.
No, I'm just trying to. I hope I'm trying to.
No, I think we understand each other on that
You
point.
know,
You're not
it's
interested in really
yeah,
hearing what.
it's not arrogance. No, and if you can't tell me what's going to happen after I die at this point, you know, then I really am not. I just not a lot I want to hear from anybody else on that pursuit, which does not mean that I don't want to share or think I know everything or feel like I've learned everything. I just have formulated a foundation of what my beliefs are, and I'm standing on that until something spiritual tells me something different.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
I don't if that makes sense to you.
No, that totally does. I get it.
Okay.
Uh, we, you know, um, there's a couple questions in the chat.
Okay.
If you're okay with that. Uh,
Sure.
Now, Predator from Romania says, "Is it still happening?"
No.
Okay.
Just
Uh,
as the one little thing that, but I haven't seen that in about a month or two. So, and
okay.
it's not anything near these other things. It's just kind of an orb-like thing, which I think a lot of people see.
Rodriguez asks, "Are those in our atmosphere or in deep space?"
uh,
Oh, okay.
I
So,
could tell you. I don't really know. I mean, somebody I was watching. What was I watching? Oh God, these people's names just jumping out of my head. His name was Joseph. He was on another interview with Nikki Indiana the other day, and he said that there has, I guess, we're doing things that are causing a rift in the time, layer of time, or however time is. And I wondered, and Nikki and I wondered together if during that period, if when they do something that rips time some kind of way or time travel, if that may expose things for temporarily. That makes sense?
yeah, uh,
Okay.
yeah. I don't know that much about um,
I
the
wish.
time space, uh, physics. I'm not really that knowledgeable about physics, but I think I understand what you're saying. Like the CERN laboratory, um, they're doing some stuff with particle acceleration, and there's been some speculation that that may have done some things to our universe
Mm,
or our dimension that may have opened up some portals or
yeah.
changed some things in our. That stuff is really out there to me. I
Yeah.
don't understand that. I can't. I don't have any understanding of how to explain that. So it's definitely possible. Um, I'm not going to rule that out, but
Mm. Well, I mean, there were so many and they were so exposed. Even the orange orbs, it was as if they had rerouted from somewhere. It's like, I mean, they were no higher than the highest street lamp. They were all four of them hanging
Mhm.
there like nobody's business, and they were so close, you know. And then they started going way, way up high, and they disappeared. It was odd that because they came literally between two houses,
Mhm.
you know, and
So
then they.
this, in regards to this stuff
Mhm.
on the video, because this stuff on the video is stuff that I can actually see
Mhm.
for myself. The orbs, um, I would love to see footage if you had footage of that, and we could talk about that at
Oh,
another
they're
time.
all over YouTube.
No, no, I mean
Not mine, but
your footage, your
oh,
footage.
yeah.
Or your own experiences related to those that footage. But
I'm just saying those are common though, and
so
they're
this
almost.
particular footage right
Mhm.
here,
Mhm.
um, and this is from uh, Scott Brown, who you don't, I mean, you guys have had some.
Yeah,
I guess
here it
there's some
goes.
contention there,
That's his
but
whole question every
but
time there.
that's not that is a valid question. I mean, this could help us understand how far away these objects may be if
Right.
they're outside the atmosphere.
Oh,
Uh,
I've always told people it's this camera that I have right here in my hand, a power shot.
I can't see. You're not on.
No,
You're not
I
on
know
film.
that. I'm aware of that. I'm just reading it. It's a power shot, a Canon.
A Canon power shot.
Hmm.
Uh,
Let's see here.
you know
H.
what might help if
I-
it's so people. Like I said, y- when you when stuff like this comes out, and I'm not
Mhm.
saying it's you or anybody else, but when stuff
Mhm.
like this comes out and people see this stuff, minds are blown. Like I'm telling you, my mind is still blown by this, and I my analytical brain wants to try to figure out what could this possibly be,
Right.
and that's what Scott Brown is trying to do, and that's what
Right.
hundreds of other people are trying to do. Um, here's another friend of mine, the Unidentified Celebrity Review. Great YouTube channel, Luis Jimenez. He's doing some awesome stuff with the disclosure movement, which I know you're not into that, but he's also really active in the UFO community as an advocate and
Oh,
an
you're
activist.
okay. Yep. I think we're connected.
But all these people, all they want is to have a little bit better understanding of what these things might be, and by asking the technical questions of how you captured this, what's the equipment that you used. Um,
And I guess I probably uh think
Rodriguez says the power shots are zooming beasts, which it seems like it, man. It seems like you had to zoom
well,
in quite a distance to get this
no,
much detail.
no. And I tell you, you can't get this one anymore. And the one I was going to get, the next one, which has a 65 zoom, they you can't find that one. So maybe they made a mistake with the camera or something.
So they discontinued it so we wouldn't have that much power
Right,
available to us.
exactly. I understand. I really feel like they put these cameras out here in our hands, and then they did not realize the stuff people were going to be able to get with them. You know, but going back to that, I know that people want me to say, I have people asking me how many feet and all of that kind of stuff. And first of all, I filmed these in 2017.
That's only 4 years
2008,
ago.
2018,
Yeah.
they were laying around. I'm just look at them for my own pleasure. After NASA didn't seem like they were blown away with it. Then I really thought, well, okay, well, they probably have seen this stuff before, you know. And then in later on, I guess 2019 or so, whenever I decided I wanted to do the exhibit. I mean, I just was, it was not a thing where, like maybe Scott, he has an entire agenda maybe around this. He's trying to find the stuff and he's trying to see it and he's measuring out the distance and he's has his camera set a certain way and he's looking at, that wasn't the case with me. I was just a woman, an old woman with a camera that saw something and started filming it. And then I honestly, sometimes I wish I hadn't shared it, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard people say that before because you get people, you get haters, you get trolls, you get people that are so interested that it seems like they're obsessed with the footage and they just want to keep asking questions.
Yeah,
Your privacy is really voided when you go public with something like this.
and it's not, I don't have a problem answering anything that I can answer, but I don't like being made to feel as if I know something and I'm not sharing it. Because that's just not the case. It seems like it's a very hard thing for people to just accept, and I guess I could get that with all of this stuff, but it seems like it's a very hard thing for certain types of people to accept that I just was standing on my porch one night and every night for a year, excuse my French, this shit just started showing up for me.
And the reason is it doesn't happen to everybody.
I get
And
that.
people want to know why can't I see something
See,
like that?
I get that, but don't make me feel like
I
or
don't
accuse not you. I'm
there are some people who are intentionally out there to try to beat other people down. I give you that 100%.
maybe so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are people like that. There are also other people who are legitimate researchers and
Right.
rigorous investigators who are trying to find answers in a
Mhm.
way that may come across like they're trying to beat you down, but that's not their intention.
Well, I like again. I'm not that 68 is the be all end all of. I know intentions, and I know when a person. There have been people that have asked me questions and I was not able to answer them, and they fully accepted that,
Hmm.
But there have been other people that have come at me from a totally different angle, and I'm not one to bite my tongue. Well, all right. You know what? I'm not going to even say that, but because I really like to see where this goes. But so there are, you know, there's a lot of trickery involved in UFO Twitter.
100%. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
You really have to have your
uh,
guard up,
oh my God,
and you're right to have your guard up.
yeah. Well, see, I don't want to live like that, and that's the
But
unfortunate
there's
side
there's
of being.
also there's also a lot of hoaxing that's
Mm,
perpetrated out there.
mhm,
That people want attention or people want to make a quick buck off of the um, the vulnerable or the easily tricked.
mhm,
There's a lot of that out there, and that's what people are trying to prevent from happening.
mhm.
Nobody is accusing you of this, and if anybody does, then those are not the people you want to be talking to anyway. But people asking you questions about your method and the time of day that this was shot, those detailed um, of the experience.
Mhm.
They're not
Well,
trying to they're not trying to do it to prove that you're a hoaxer. They're trying to do it to eliminate that possibility from the
mhm.
equation.
And I get that,
There's a difference.
but if I tell you I don't know the distance,
Hmm.
I can't tell you. For number one, I can't tell you because it's like you said, it's been over 4 years, and now if I and I don't like this pressure, and
Hmm.
now I feel like I don't even enjoy it anymore.
That's not cool.
You
That is
know,
not cool at
I
all.
don't I don't want to go look. And on one or two occasions, I actually did see the thing in the back of the house, and I did not even bother filming it because I was starting to, people were saying, talk to them and see if they talk back and try to measure the distance and and that.
You know what? We started this talking about how certain number of people,
Mhm,
whether it's in the African American community or anywhere,
mhm,
there's a certain number of people that have these experiences and don't even report them. And what we're talking about right now is exactly why they don't want that pressure. They don't want that microscope put on into their lives and have to answer questions from 100 different people and answer the same question 100 different times.
oh my
I
God.
totally get that. I totally get that.
And the
But
answer is the same. If you know how many
but I
people,
get
I don't even think people believe that I'm using a Canon.
oh no, I don't know why anybody would doubt that. Anybody who sincerely doubts that you're telling the truth is just not even worth talking to. So, but what they want to find out is, uh, okay, let's move on from that because I'm trying to speak for people on two different sides of the spectrum.
Right.
One side of the spectrum is people that just have nothing better to do than try to beat other people down. Those people are not worth the air that they breathe. But on the other hand, there's people that are doing legitimate work, and one of those people, in my opinion, is Scott Brown. He actually has had experiences himself and has shot footage or still images of strange phenomenon that he
Mhm,
can't explain what they are himself. So he's not trying to debunk people to try to beat them down. And I'm not trying to talk for everybody, but
mhm.
because you and Scott had a little bit of a contention there, and I like Scott. I've talked to Scott several times, you know, and I like you. Okay, so um, I just it would be nice if you guys could see a little bit closer to eye, but if not, no big deal.
Now I
Um,
feel totally set up.
you're not set up, not at
Mm,
all. I'm not
I
trying to take sides.
absolutely feel set up.
That's not fair. That is not fair because
Well,
I'm not trying to take sides at all.
I do. I feel set up. But go ahead.
That
I'm listening.
that's not fair. I hope you change the way that you feel because that's not what happened here at all. Julie asks if you've used more than one camera. Have you ever tried to shoot these things with multiple cameras?
I'm not an expert. I know very little about cameras. I got this camera as a gift to shoot the moon, and I guess I just, I'm not. Uh,
So no, you've
yeah,
you've never done
yeah,
that. That's okay.
no, yeah.
That's an easy answer. Simple question, easy answer.
Okay,
Here is a supportive question or
okay.
supportive comment. Okay, not we're not. I- I'm not trying to set you up. All right, Scott just happened to show up. I didn't know he was going to be here. He
Well, let
doesn't.
me just imagine now. Um, Here I am. And let me tell you, I've met some people on UFO Twitter that I love to death. I don't know how they really feel about me because I am a brass, unfiltered person. That's just who I am. But I think I've been so naive about certain things. A UFO thing to me, and whenever I've thought about it ever in my life, I always have thought of it from a spiritual perspective. And I had a tendency to think that everybody would be that way, and that's really stupid, but I did. I don't, not a kumbaya moment, but I just thought I was not prepared for this kind of a cutthroat, cut you down if you don't if you can't give us the answers that we need to validate uh, what you're doing, and
Well,
I
there are a lot of people out there that also do support you, and
oh, without a
as you
doubt. Yeah,
said at the beginning, there was people that said thank you for your courage for coming forward with this stuff.
yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of people that have had these experiences that will not come forward with this stuff because they don't want that kind of attention.
I don't blame them.
I
But I
I
tell
get it
you,
too.
I am going to try to, because I think, I mean, to try to put down in some words and some images everything I can think of that I do, if that make that I have done. Because
Yeah.
I really I want other people to have this experience. I really
and,
do.
and and that's what other people want too.
You know,
Legit sincere people, what they want. So
I
Scott Brown says it made an encouraging comment,
mm,
and I'm gonna leave it with that. I encourage her to keep trying to capture images. She's doing more than most are, and that's the truth. That's the absolute truth. You're doing more than most people because bottom line is
okay.
a lot of people just don't care what's going on in the skies or
It's
around the world. And
amazing too, right?
it is amazing, absolutely. There was one other thing that rather be this guy cracks me up. If Mick West jumps on the stream, then it's a setup, and that's true. Because I wouldn't invite that dude to a podcast. I just don't have any interest in talking with him.
Well,
Yeah.
a lot of people say that about him. I've never I don't I think I may have he may have approached me once or twice, but um he was very harsh too, I think.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe I'm too sensitive for the real UFO world,
and maybe that's why you have these experiences because you are sensitive in a certain way, and you have these experiences that other people aren't having because they don't have that kind of sensitivity. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe there's a connection there of why these things are showing up for you and not for everybody else. Or
Mhm.
maybe you're just lucky with your camera. But out of the out of the trillions of stars in the sky,
Mhm.
where you could point your camera to look at a point of light, and you zoom in on that, and it turns out to be something this strange and wondrous. Is that luck, or is that something guiding you of where to point your camera? I mean, or does that even matter to you? Did I lose you? Uh, if you're talking, I don't hear any audio. Patricia, are you still there? We lost audio from you. Can you still hear me? Um, you could type in the private chat. Sorry, folks. I think we're having some technical difficulty on Patricia's camera, or maybe it's on my end. Can anybody out there hear what Patricia's saying? Every time her screen blinks yellow, it means she's talking. I'm just not hearing her. But if you can hear me, Patricia, if you can drop out of the live stream and then come back on, we can continue our conversation. Thanks, guys. Yeah. I don't know what you guys think, man, but I think that it's fantastic that she's able to capture this kind of footage. Um, are you possibly muted, Patricia? Because I still can't hear you. And people in the chat room said they can't hear you either. Yeah, I think she might be muted. She might have even, well, she's still in the live stream. But well, we've been at it for 2 hours. I hate to leave it without saying goodbye to her. Um, so, Patricia, if you could, let me end my screen share. And if you could just drop out of, close your browser and then open a new browser and go to that link that I sent you on Twitter and try to jump back in here. If you do that, that might reset your settings. Either that or look down in the screen at the bottom of the screen here. If you can still hear me, there's a mute button. It may be that you're muted. Yeah, try to close your browser and jump back in. We'll give her a few more minutes, guys. But I'm thinking that it might be a good place to end it right there. Um, so yeah, go over to here. I'll give you guys her contact information since she didn't have an opportunity to. Her Twitter handle is Women's UAP Network without an O. And I'll post it in the chat. You guys all go over there and give her some support and show her some love. Let her know that her work is appreciated. I appreciate it very much what she's doing, and I hope she continues to do it. But one quick announcement for you guys: I'm not going to be doing any more live streams on Monday night. My new schedule on Sunday mornings is doing really well. It's Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and the Saturday night shows are still going to be at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So still going to have 2 shows a week. It's going to be Saturday night at 7 p.m. and Sunday morning at 11 a.m. It just got too much doing the 3 shows a week. But appreciate you guys all being here. Hope you guys all have a safe week. Keep an eye out for that UAPTF report, man. I think that's coming out pretty soon. I hope it's going to be groundbreaking, even though everybody thinks it's going to be a nothing burger. All right, guys. Thanks again for being here. Y'all have a good night.